yeah, just, that's where I feel at home. And this off season was a long one. And even though, we played pretty late for my standards, and get to start back up here in September, but yeah, just a tremendous feeling that cold, feeling that rush, getting to see, how some of the athletes look, the returners, and the kids and the young men put in a lot of work, and it's great to see the results.
We don't want to over dramatize the importance of the weekend tournament, right? It's 3 games just to kind of evaluate players and where they're at, see them participate against their peers. But of course, we will still want to make a lot about the line combinations and defensive pairings. And I'm just curious, what's the approach going into the tournament? Is it to try to maybe put out a similar lineup for all 3 games and try to find consistency that way? Or is it to sort of mix things up on a game-by-game basis, to maybe look at as many players as possible and or to match up against the other team?
Yeah, it's ever evolving, I think, with the rookie tournament, what your expectations are. I think some years, you go into it and you're probably thinking, our team, it might be a little deficient in one category, or it might be exceptional in one category, and you really want to see those results. Maybe some years you're just looking to see improvement from players. And I think, like we're the state of the organization, the state of the young core of this group, I think you're just looking to see the positive things that they can bring and will show in the American League level this year, and then ultimately at the NHL level. So, team wise, it's gonna be difficult. We have some of our systems in place from last year, but even just watching today, they lose the habits quite quickly. They lose the details. So, to say that we're demanding team success, I think would be premature. But what we are expecting is individuals to show up and adhere to their cultural values, adhere to the organization's cultural values. And we have been pretty explicit with some of the things that we want to see from the players in that avenue, and to show the promise that they have. If it's a glimpse, that's great. If it's consistent, that would be exceptional. That'd be awesome to go there and have team success. But at the end of the day, we're looking for the improvement. We want to see guys that were getting pushed off pucks last year in the American League or in junior being stalwart and being a puck possession type of player. Guys that weren't hitting one-timers last year. We want to see the improvement in those areas. And I think that if guys show up and do their jobs individually and prove to the organization that they've had a great summer and they learned a lot from their last season, then the team success should follow.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet.
Next up is Zach Dooley.
Hey, Robo, double-digit guys on this roster who you had, at least for some games last year with Ontario. How helpful is it to have such a large group of guys for a tournament like this who kind of know how you operate, the terms that you use, et cetera?
Yeah, it's just the drills too. I think it is massive. If you want to have a cohesive practice, if you want to, there has to be that learning process where guys show up and lead other players. They follow suit and they push that leadership group. And that's something that, we challenged the entire group of yesterday, for the leaders to lead and for guys that might be new to the organization to push and to make a lasting impression. But it's everything duels. It's expectations off the ice. So that's where it all starts with how we treat support staff, how we treat people that are taking care of us, whether it's custodians, Zamboni people, the chef crew. Everybody becomes a value, and we want to make sure we appreciate them. And that starts with our leadership guys, and then it obviously kind of funnels into the hockey part. And but having those 11 as you mentioned, outstanding young men that we had in Ontario last year, it goes a long way, and we will lean on them heavily.
And something you said at the end of last year that stuck with me was that you wanted guys to dominate the summer. Understanding it's only been a day here with this group, have you seen any individuals who have stood out who you do feel have put that work in over the summer?
Yeah, I think all of them have. It's particularly off the ice. You can just see the extra slabs of muscle they put on, or just a little bit more confidence, possibly the shoulders a little bit higher, their chin up a little bit more. They feel the part. They've earned that confidence, and I feel like, I don't know. There's one guy in particular that kind of stood out to me just size wise was I thought Kaliev, he looked like a monster out there compared to last year. He just looks to be a lot sturdier, a lot thicker. And even if his shot could get harder, it looks like it actually did. So I think he put in the work this summer. He looks great.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Robo.
You bet.
Next up is Mike Morial.
Hey, Robo, good to see you, man. Hope the family's well.
Blast from the past. How we doing, Mike?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Thank you. So Robo, for a player of Quinton's ability, do you judge or evaluate him differently than other players in this camp? In other words, do you need to see some specific things in his game?
Well, he already put in a lot of work this summer. He looks like another athlete who took another step. With QB, I think a lot of it's timing. We want to make sure that his habits are in order going into NHL camp. So for him, it's a big challenge was sometimes one hand on the stick in his battles when he should have been using two. Not that the one hand should be excluded from his repertoire, because that reach is like, it's a super important part of his game, being able to chip pucks and things like that. But his work ethic and his tenacity in practice today was one that I hope springboards him into success in this the 2, maybe 3 games that he gets in on this trip. And just ready, and I use that word springboard, ready to just, use these couple of games, build that confidence, take a couple of tips on something that might be loose in his game, and then be ready to just, drive for a spot come training camp. And, QB, he does so many things that don't necessarily have to impact the score sheet. We love it when he scores, of course, and produces. He's got all the ability in the world to do that, but he can really control a game and control momentum for your team through other avenues. It's not all about points for him. So I think we'll just, continue to challenge him to play an honest 200-foot game, and that'll give him his best chance that gives him his best chance for success at any level, to be honest with you. Like if he's flying around and pursuing pucks and winning battles and controlling 200 feet, the puck ends up in the net for us. And he's a big part of that.
Just a quick follow-up, John. Like if you were to maybe provide 1 or 2 things that he really improved upon from start to finish in Ontario last season, what might they be?
Well, I'll start with one that it would be his ability to transport 200 feet, to be able to be around the puck. And, I mentioned this before to more of our local news outlets, is that he and Craig Johnson worked a lot about his routes and trusting his acceleration within those routes. And so not necessarily having to sprint north all the time. He has the ability to separate while still taking a more controlled kind of direction on the way out of the zone. And then he's got that ability to pull away from the opponent. He even showed that at the NHL level. So that was one of the things that I thought was, that he really improved on. And then I thought, more of off the ice, or kind of, between the years type of thing, was just his confidence level within that role, I thought grew immensely, where he was a minus player starting off, had one of the worst plus minuses in the American Hockey League through 12, 13 games. And, he stuck with it, and then he earned the confidence to be able to become a dominant American Hockey League player. And I thought that might have been even more important. I think he always had that inner belief, but then he went out and earned it on the ice. And then he had it between the years that's who he was going to be for us. And then one day for the Kings. So one thing that we're still working on with him is an assassin's mentality in the goal scoring zone. When he puts himself in those positions to bury one, like we want to get that thing up under the bar. We want to make sure that he's picking a corner and ending the process, but ending that opportunity and once again capitalizing, having an assassin's mentality. So that's kind of a 3-prong answer and a good question.
Perfect, John. Good to see you. Best of luck.
Good seeing you, brother.
Next up is Jesse Cohn.
Hey, John, I'm just curious, what constitutes a successful trip to Arizona for you?
I kind of mentioned this one earlier. I think we're kind of piggybacking on this, and I think it's that that each of the players adheres to the cultural values that they have. within the organization. So each player has a template that they have to adhere to. If they live up to that at this tournament, and then they combine that with what we value as an organization in regard to our cultural items on the macro. So micro with the player, he takes care of what he's good at, shows his improvement, and shows that he's got those tangible qualities. And then, sort of the intangible things that the organization asks of guys. And I can give you some examples of that. It's our tracking, our hunt away from the puck. It stops and starts when it's applicable. It's making the proper reads on forechecks, and then at the end of the day, doing the necessary things to win, whether that's blocking shots or standing in front for a screen, devoting yourself to being a drive player on the line rush, maybe taking yourself out of the play to open up ice for your teammates. Those are the type of things that'll lead to success for the player. Those are the things that we want. We want each player to be able to open the eyes of the people up top that are ultimately making the decisions. And if each guy does that individually, within the team parameters, the cultural items, we're not going to be perfect. The systems won't be perfect, but you can make up for a lot with want, skill, touching pucks first, things of that nature. So that would be that's our success recipe right there. Each guy takes care of himself within the structure of the organization, and then every guy does that. We're going to have success as a team.
Those templates you're talking about, are those player by player, role by role, position by position? How specific are we talking?
Yeah, the returners are they have a fair idea of where they're at and what they needed to improve on, what their strengths, weaknesses are. So yeah, it's definitely an individual template, and then there are some more macro things that are organizationally sound items, which I sort of spoke up there.
Awesome, thanks. Have a good trip.
Thanks, Jeff.
And lastly, we'll go back to John Hogan here.
Last one is just about the defensive sort of pairings, right? You don't have the luxury of having experienced guys, left hand, right hand, kind of balanced. How do you approach getting that balance? Is it a matter of trying to move some righties over to the left side for these 3 games, or are you willing to put in a lot of the camp invitees to keep that balance?
Right. It's not a possibility to have veteran guys matched with guys who haven't played at this level yet. We don't have the numbers. So Marcus Phillips and Sean Dursey, I believe, are our only veteran D-men who've actually been to an event like this, and more in particular after a pro season. I think Spence might have been here a couple of years ago, but that's a far cry from where he's at as a player. So it's not going to be possible to have that veteran presence on every pairing. And it'll provide guys opportunities, that it'll give them growth. And to be frank, I do feel like our forward core has to be the motor at this tournament. They're going to have to drive pace. They're going to have to drive play, make the reads as easy for some of these guys who haven't been there yet. And we're going to have our hands full with the Colorado team tomorrow. They've got some very promising forwards and of course defensemen as well. So that's should be a good game tomorrow. I'm hoping for a lot of goals. I hope that we're on the winning end of it and get the better part of them. But they're a tremendous group of prospects as well.